Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you're just drifting? Like you're just an accident in this massive, chaotic universe, trying to find a purpose that might not even be there? Well, stop for a second. Seriously, just listen to this. We're about to dive into an ancient text that makes a wild claim, that your purpose was set in stone before the universe was even born.
I want you to really let that question sink in. What if your value, your identity, your entire reason for being, what if it wasn't something you had to go out and find, or earn, or prove? What if it was just given to you, decided in the quiet of eternity, long before you ever took your first breath? It sounds crazy, I know, but there's this one sentence written 2,000 years ago that says exactly that.
And there it is, Ephesians 1, verse 4. For the next few minutes, we're going to become investigators. We're going to put this single explosive sentence under the microscope using a method called inductive study. We're just going to look at three things: what it says, what it means, and how it could literally change everything about how you see yourself. You ready? Let's get into it. Okay, so our first step is just observation. We're not trying to interpret anything yet. We're not adding our own opinions. We're just looking at the blueprint. The goal here is to clear away all our assumptions and just see what the words on the page are actually saying. What are the raw facts, the pure data?
The very first thing that jumps out is this powerful active verb, a choice. This is not passive. It's not some cosmic lottery or a random roll of the dice. The sentence kicks off with a clear, personal action. Someone, he, made a deliberate selection. And who was the object of that choice? Us.
Now, check this out. Where did this choice happen? The text is super specific. It wasn't just that he chose us, but where he chose us. The blueprint says this choice was made in him. And if you read the rest of the letter, it's crystal clear that this means in Christ. Think of it like our spiritual address. It's a critical detail we just can't skip over. And this is where the timeline just shatters our whole understanding of time itself. This decision wasn't made when you were born. It wasn't even made in all of human history. The text places this choice before the creation of the world, before galaxies ever swirled into existence, before planets even cooled, before light itself pierced the darkness. This is a decision that was made in eternity past. Just wow.
So, let's put the pieces of our blueprint together. It's pretty straightforward, right? The who is God. The what is that he chose us. The when is before creation itself. The where is in him, in Christ. And finally, the blueprint gives us the why, the whole reason for the choice: to be holy and blameless. So we've observed the facts. Now it's time to decode them.
All right, let's move on to interpretation. If observation was just looking at the blueprint, interpretation is like being a code breaker. What do these words really mean? And to do that, we've got to look at the original Greek language. Trust me, this is where the verse really starts to open up. So the Greek word for chose here is eklegomai. Now this is not like being picked last for the team in gym class. Eklegomai means to carefully and deliberately select something for yourself. It's got this idea of a personal, purposeful, and even an affectionate choice. It's like God wasn't just filling a roster. He was specifically and intentionally selecting you. And why were we chosen? To be holy. The Greek word is hagios. And we hear that word and we often think it means being morally perfect, right? And that's part of it. But the core meaning of hagios is to be set apart. Think about a surgeon's scalpel. It's not just that it's clean, it is set apart for one specific life-saving purpose. That's the picture here. You were chosen and set apart for a divine mission. And then the verse adds that we are to be blameless. The Greek word is amamos. This term is often used to describe a perfect, sacrificial animal, one that had no spot or defect at all. And here's the crucial point. This is not a standard you have to achieve on your own. It's a status that is given to you in Him. It's a gift of spiritual wholeness, not some brutal demand for you to be perfect all by yourself. This whole idea of being chosen can sometimes stir up a lot of fear, right? Does it mean God plays favorites? Does it mean some people are just left out? But when you look at the text, it's actually pointing in the complete opposite direction. The focus isn't on who isn't chosen, it's on the incredible love and purpose for those who are. This isn't a doctrine about exclusion, it's a doctrine about a loving inclusion into a grand cosmic mission.
In this, right here, this is the transformation. This is the unlock moment. Stop thinking of yourself as being chosen out of a group. Start seeing yourself as chosen for a world-changing purpose. Do you see how that reframes everything? It stops being a story about status, and it becomes a story about mission.
So we've seen what it says, we've seen what it means, but the big question is, so what? What does this actually mean for us? This is the application phase. How does a choice made in the silence of eternity actually change your life right now, today? Let's make this incredibly practical. How does this deep theological truth hold up against the pressure of a deadline at work, or the sting of criticism from someone you care about, or just that feeling of being completely ordinary on a chaotic Monday morning? How does it change what you see when you look in the mirror? First, it means you anchor your worth. Your value is not based on your performance, your successes, your failures, your social media, or your bank account. It was settled in eternity, period. Second, it means you can silence your insecurity. When that voice of doubt starts whispering that you're not good enough, you have a comeback. You can say, God's eternal choice is the final word on who I am. And third, you embrace your mission. You start to live differently because you know, deep down, you were set apart for a sacred purpose.
So when the storms of life hit, and they will, when you feel lost or forgotten or totally worthless, this truth is meant to be an anchor for your soul. And it's not a flimsy little anchor you drop in the shifting sands of your feelings or your circumstances. No, it is fixed in the unshakable bedrock of God's character and His eternal decision.
So, what's the one thing you should take away from all of this? Let it be this single thought. Your existence is not random. You are not just a collection of molecules that happen to end up here by chance. You are not a cosmic accident. You are an eternal intention.